Hello and good evening. Political uncertainty in Rajasthan is leading to troubling questions related to the intersect between the executive, legislature and the judiciary. The Chief Minister appears to be putting pressure on the Governor to secure a floor test in his favour, while the Speaker's apparent double standards on dissidents are also being raked up in court proceedings. We'll get you all the details on that in Newsnight tonight. I'm Gautam Roy. And we'll also be talking to our guests about the latest order issued by the government to clamp down hard on all malicious economic activity being undertaken in India by neighbouring countries. But first, our headlines. Political heat rises in Rajasthan. BJP attacks Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot over his remarks related to the Governor. The CM meets Governor along with supporting MLAs seeking the convening of the special assembly session. Rajasthan High Court orders maintaining status quo on the plea of rebel Congress MLAs. Speaker barred from taking any action against the rebels. Hearing in the Supreme Court on Monday. Independence Day will be celebrated on the 15th of August this year like every year. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the nation from the ramparts of the Red Fort after unfurling the national tricolour. The government issues an advisory to maintain social distancing and wearing of masks for participants. Atmanirbhar Bharat will also be promoted in a major way. Another key meet held over the border issue between India and China. The two sides reviewed the situation in the India-China border areas and the ongoing disengagement process along the LAC. Full restoration of peace and tranquility was deemed essential for smooth overall development of bilateral relations. The two sides also agreed on another meeting of senior commanders very soon. BJP to hold Ek Bharat, Ekatam Bharat program on the completion of 1 year of the revocation of key provisions of Articles 370 and 35A. Virtual rallies to be held from the 28th of July to the 3rd of August in every state. Intellectuals will be engaged and dialogues will also be held with Muslim women on the outlawing of triple talaq. The Reserve Bank of India releases its half-yearly financial stability report. Governor Shaktikanta Das says the country's financial system is sound. Lenders should not be extremely risk-averse. Need for financial intermediaries to proactively augment capital and improve their resilience. Make in India gets a boost. Apple begins manufacturing iPhone 11 in India. Foxconn is making the top-end phone at its Chennai facility. Manufacturing in India is expected to bring down the phone's price. Several ministers expressed happiness over the development. Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan addresses the lead of SCO Health Ministers, suggests formation of a subgroup on traditional medicines. 30-year-old man gets a vaccine dose as part of the clinical trial at Delhi's AIIMS. Over 34,000 people recover from the COVID over the last 24 hours. Recovery rate reaches 63.45%. And the flood situation in Assam and Bihar still remains grim. Several rivers flowing above the danger mark. Several NDRF teams deployed in rescue and relief work. President Ramnath Kovind flags off trucks carrying relief materials from Rashtrapati Bhavan. Materials sent through Red Cross Society of India for the flood affected in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Assam. Well, strange scenes were witnessed in Rajasthan's capital Jaipur. Congress MLA supporting Ashok Gehlot reached Raj Bhavan on Friday afternoon and raised slogans. And while the Chief Minister seemed to be getting a blow from the High Court, he's hell-bent and has demanded calling of the assembly session from the Governor. Meanwhile, the question is that in the midst of political slugfest, unnecessary questions on the constitutional position of the Governor and provisions are also being raised.
दबाव में किसी के नहीं आए। आपका संवैधानिक पद है, शपथ ली हुई है। अपनी अंतरात्मा के आधार पर शपथ की जो भावना होती है उसका आधार बना के फैसला करें। वरना फिर हो सकता है कि पूरी प्रदेश की जनता अगर राजभवन को घेरने के लिए आ गई तो हमारी जिम्मेदारी नहीं होगी।
This is what the Chief Minister of Rajasthan said after a big setback from Rajasthan High Court in a case of his party colleague Sachin Pilot and 19 others over Speaker's notice to them. After his statement against the governor of the state, questions are being raised in political circles over his foul language. Gehlot forgot that he is holding a high constitutional post in the state and threatening the governor and accusing him of not calling the assembly session to prove his majority on the floor of the house. Now the BJP has raised the objection over Gehlot using undignified language and termed it undemocratic.
मुझे लगता है कि ये लोकतंत्र की बार-बार दुहाई देने वाले, अपने आप को गांधीवादी कहने वाले लोग व्यक्ति को इस बात के ऐसा कहना शोभा नहीं देता। किसी भी संवैधानिक पद की अपनी मर्यादा है, उस मर्यादा को बनाए रखते हुए आचरण करने की जिम्मेदारी हम सब की है।
राजस्थान के मुख्यमंत्री ने जिस भाषा का इस्तेमाल किया और जो शब्द इस्तेमाल किए वो किसी प्रदेश का मुख्यमंत्री या गृह मंत्री नहीं कर सकता, मर्यादा नैतिकता के नाम पर भी और कानूनन भी।
The Rajasthan High Court has directed the Speaker of Rajasthan Assembly to maintain status quo on the disqualification notices sent to 19 rebel MLAs, including Sachin Pilot. With this, the High Court also clarified that the matter of disqualification power of the Speaker is not under the jurisdiction of the court. The court has not given any date for further hearing. On the other hand, the case will be heard in the Supreme Court on Monday. The apex court will decide whether the Speaker can take action against the rebel MLAs of the Congress party. It is worth noting that the Speaker had issued a notice to these MLAs on 14 July after the Congress party filed a complaint. The Congress accused these MLAs of violating the whips, while the Pilot camp argued that the party whip only applies when the assembly session is in progress.
मुकदमा माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय में पेंडिंग है, तो माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने जैसे आदेश दिया है कि इस मुकदमे को उसके अधीन रखा जाएगा, तो जो भी आदेश होएगा अभी इसके ऊपर ज्यादा और कोई टिप्पणी नहीं करनी चाहिए। हमने जो संवैधानिक वैधता इसकी जो चैलेंज करी थी क्लॉज 2 सब क्लॉज 1 सब क्लॉज ए ऑफ द 10th शेड्यूल की, उसके ऊपर माननीय उच्च न्यायालय ने उसके ऊपर प्राइमा फेसी केस मानते हुए उसके ऊपर स्टेटस क्वो का आदेश किया है।
After the court's decision, Ashok Gehlot reached the Raj Bhavan with Congress MLAs and urged Governor Kalraj Mishra to call the assembly session. While Gehlot government is claiming majority, BJP says they have lost the ground.
पहल हमने खुद ने करी है, उसको विपक्ष को भी वेलकम करना चाहिए था। ये परंपरा रही लोकतंत्र की, यहाँ उल्टी गंगा बह रही है। हम कह रहे हैं कि हम बुलाएंगे, सेशन बुलाएंगे, अपना बहुमत सिद्ध करेंगे।
सरकार की अल्पमत है या बहुमत है, इसका निर्णय अगर कोई करेगा तो हाउस का फ्लोर ही करेगा। ये बात अगर उस दिन हो जाती तो आज 12 दिन में बहुत कुछ निर्णायक स्थिति पर आ जाता, लेकिन उस समय तो कोर्ट कचहरी के रास्ते इसलिए ढूंढे क्योंकि बहुमत नहीं था। लोगों को पकड़ धकड़ करके ला करके तैयारी करने के लिए जो समय की आवश्यकता थी वो आपने होटल में बिताई, और अब जब कोर्ट के कारण से आपको रास्ता दिख ही नहीं रहा है तो आज आपने सारी मर्यादाओं को धूल धूसर कर दिया।
Meanwhile, a BJP MLA has filed a petition in the Rajasthan High Court on Friday appealing rejection of the merger of 6 BSP MLAs in the Congress. The petition filed by Madan Dilawar has also challenged the inaction of the Speaker, who has not taken any decision on his request to disqualify Bahujan Samaj Party MLAs from the Assembly. A single judge bench of the High Court will hear this petition on Monday. The BJP MLA alleged that Assembly Speaker Dr. C.P. Joshi favoured the Congress in this matter. The power tussle in Rajasthan will continue for some time now. The governor has not yet taken the decision to call the Assembly session as demanded by the Congress. The matter will also be heard by the Supreme Court on Monday. With inputs from Jaipur, Newsnight Desk, DD India.
So clearly on one side the governor holds the key and on the other things lie in court, and that too perhaps in the top court. The seesaw battle till then will continue. Well, there is good news on the national front for all those who are looking forward to celebrating Independence Day. What has happened is that the centre, and namely the Home Ministry, has issued an advisory which will ensure that we have safe Independence Day celebrations. Now, what is this advisory all about? Let's take a look over here how Independence Day will be celebrated on the 15th of August this year. The main event will be organized in Delhi as always. Further on, if you look at how things will be conducted, the PM will unfurl the tricolour from the ramparts of the Red Fort. So nothing will be changing over there. The PM will address the nation after unfurling the national flag and the 21-gun salute. So that is also a constant and it remains a constant. The national flag will also be unfurled in state capitals, district headquarters, block headquarters and at the panchayat level as well. So it's going to be truly a nationwide celebration. The At Home at Rashtrapati Bhavan will be conducted right there itself, as is again the custom. It's happened every year. Governors will take the call on the at-home ceremony in the states. That's been left to the governors. Guidelines on prevention of COVID-19, which have been issued by the Health Ministry, will be followed during all ceremonies at all levels. That's what the advisory of the MHA says. Performances by police and army bands at venues related to independence can also be recorded, is what the advisory also says. Because why is that going to happen? Well, recordings can be played out later on large screens or even digitally, so that people can join in the celebrations to the maximum. Implementation of all precautionary measures and their observance will be mandatory. There is no working around that. Wearing of a mask or face cover, maintaining distance of 2 yards have been deemed essential. You just cannot do without that. Gathering of a large number of people has to be avoided as well. Again, it's part of the way life has become in the COVID phase. Advisory is also being sent to all states and union territories by the Home Ministry, because this will be a universal thing at all levels. The advisory also suggests remembering and saluting the contributions of Corona warriors in the Independence Day celebrations. They are our true heroes this time around. It's also saying that you can invite doctors, health and sanitation workers to appreciate how they have contributed their work. They have gone beyond, above and beyond a lot of their usual responsibilities. The advisory also is to invite those who conquered coronavirus in the I-Day programs, and that is also something that is very heartening, because a lot of people, more than 8 lakh, have done that so far. A national flag will also be unfurled in state capitals, district headquarters and other provincial levels at 9 in the morning, so the time has also been specified there. Police, Home Guard, NCC, Scout Guide members will present Guard of Honor. This is also something that is quite customary in Independence Day celebrations. Maximum use of digital technology such as webcasting to help people join the celebrations as well. So this will be real time, this will be live. People can join in the celebrations. The project, the message of Atmanirbhar Bharat mission as well in various programs and social media. That is something that the government is really clear about, and the people are also very vocal about it, vocal about local. So that is something that will be an essential part of Independence Day celebrations this time around. The advisory also is to carry out tree plantations. That is also a good thing, helps the environment, and tree plantation makes one feel good as well. It's a feel-good feeling that is going to be generated through that. Online debates, quizzes, essay writing competitions, singing competitions and poetry sessions can also be organized. See, the word online is the operative one over here. And key buildings as well as those related to independence are to be eliminated as well. So that it is really a festive Independence Day as always. That's what is required. Now, what's happening apart from Independence Day celebrations, the way it will be celebrated? The BJP is also going into the mode of celebration, because it is going to hold Ek Bharat, Ekatam Bharat program on the completion of 1 year of the revocation of key provisions of the Articles 370 and 35A. Virtual rallies will be held from the 28th of July to the 3rd of August in every state. Intellectuals will be engaged, and dialogues will also be held with Muslim women on the outlawing of triple talaq.
On the completion of 1 year of abrogation of Article 370 and 35A in Jammu and Kashmir, BJP has planned a mega nationwide program to commemorate the historic milestone. BJP will hold Ek Bharat, Ekatam Bharat program across the nation from July 28th to 3rd of August, Virtual rallies will be organized in local languages in every state. National office bearers will participate in programs in Jammu, Srinagar and Ladakh. The administration of the two union territories and the centre will inform the masses about the key achievements of the past 1 year. A dialogue with intellectuals will also be conducted. The party will hold a press conference in all the states on 3rd August. Besides, the Triple Talaq Bill was passed by the Parliament on the 1st of August last year. After the formation of the law, Triple Talaq cases have come down in the country by 82%. The party will also hold a program to mark the occasion. Muslim Women Empowerment Campaign has been planned. Introductions with Muslim women via BJP Mahila Morcha and Minority Morcha will take place from July 28th to August 3rd. A dialogue has been planned with at least 100 Muslim women intellectuals in every state. The party has directed state units to publicize the speeches of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah in the Parliament. Under leadership of Prime Minister Modi and the vision of One Nation, One Constitution, central government had abrogated Article 370 and 35A in Jammu and Kashmir. The state was divided into two union territories. Since then, the focus of the government has been to usher in a new era of development in the region. With Rajesh Raj and Shailendra Mishra, News Night Desk, DD India.
Now, the flood situation in Assam and Bihar still remains grim. Several rivers are flowing above the danger mark and lakhs of people have been affected. NDRF teams have been deployed in rescue and relief work. President Ramnath Kovind flagged off trucks carrying relief material from Rashtrapati Bhavan earlier on Friday. Material was sent through Red Cross Society of India for the flood-affected people in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Assam.
Swollen rivers submerging crops in water and flooded houses. This is the flood scenario in various parts of the country where lakhs of people are affected. From NDRF to local administration, all concerned agencies are engaged in relief and rescue operations. Relief materials are being supplied to the affected areas from different parts of the country. At the Rashtrapati Bhavan, President Ramnath Kovind flagged off 9 trucks loaded with relief materials for the flood victims of UP, Bihar and Assam. These trucks have relief supplies like food items, tent clothes, bed sheets and other essential goods. Due to continuous rainfall in many districts of Bihar, flood situation is grim in the state. Many rivers including Kosi are flowing above the danger mark. In many districts, rivers have breached the embankment and flood waters have entered into villages. In West Champaran, the river Sikrahana breached the embankment in Majholia block. As a result, many villages got flooded. The water level of river Gandak is increasing continuously due to floods in Kosi. A school building at Bihipur block of Navgachia subdivision fell down and submerged in water. Rescue and relief operation is underway in Samastipur. In Gopalganj, another bridge was carried away by the flood water. In Saran, the river breached the embankment, causing the threat of flood in adjoining areas. The river Gandak has breached the embankment on both sides in Gopalganj and Champaran.
पैनिक नहीं होना है, सुरक्षित जगह पे आप चले जाएंगे। इससे हमारे प्रमुख रूप से 3 ब्लॉक जो है प्रभावित हो रहा है, संग्रामपुर, केसरिया और कोटवा का कुछ पार्ट।
In Assam, the river Brahmaputra is roaring. The flood situation in many districts of the state continues to remain grim. More than 26 lakh people affected by flood in the state. Many villages in Sonitpur district have been flooded. Kaziranga National Park in Assam has also been submerged in water. A number of animals have died in this famous park.
This is the third wave of flood witnessing Kaziranga within a month. First flood started in 26 June last, and this is the third flood.
Everywhere there is water. Administration is carrying out relief and rescue operations with full vigor. However, as of now, there seems little scope for relief from the wrath of nature. Bureau Report, News Night Desk, DD India.
And now let's get to the latest as far as the battle against COVID-19 in the country is concerned, where the Cabinet Secretary has reviewed the management of COVID-19 in 9 states with high active case load. The Union Government has advised Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal and Assam to urgently ramp up testing, strictly implement containment plans, augment health infrastructure and ensure effective clinical management. What's also happened is that the first dose to a human in AIIMS, Delhi has been given as far as the vaccine, the COVID vaccine is concerned, and the Health Minister has also held a meeting with other SCO Health Ministers. All the steps that are being taken to combat COVID-19. Let's get you the details.
Coordinated measures taken by the union, state and union territory governments have ensured effective overall management of the COVID pandemic. The clinical management of COVID-19 cases through a well-executed standard of care protocol has ensured high rate of recovery among COVID patients in India. The trend of highest ever single-day recoveries of COVID-19 patients continues unabated. For the third day in a row on Friday, the last 24 hours have recorded another high with 34,602 patients recovering. This has significantly bolstered the total number of recovered patients to cross 8 lakhs and currently it stands at 8,17,208. This has strongly boosted the recovery rate to reach a new high of 63.45% among COVID-19 patients. As a result of these constantly growing number of recoveries, the recovered patients outnumber the active cases by 3,77,073. This difference is showing a progressively growing upward trend. There are 4,40,135 active cases in the country. With the dedicated efforts of healthcare workers, the case fatality is continuously falling, which currently stands at 2.38%. Meanwhile, Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Harshvardhan, digitally participated in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Health Ministers Digital Meet on Friday. He called upon all member nations to rise in this time of crisis and mitigate the effect of COVID on health and economy. He also proposed the setting up of a new subgroup on traditional medicine.
अभी तक करीब 15 मिलियन हम टेस्ट कर चुके हैं हर रोज़ 0.35 मिलियन टेस्ट कर रहे हैं 1 मिलियन टेस्ट तक हर रोज़ की हम अपनी क्षमता ले जा रहे हैं किस प्रकार से भारत ने जहां पीपीई या वेंटिलेटर्स इत्यादि जितने भी हमारे इंडिजिनस लेवल पर चीज़ें हैं ये बन नहीं पाती थी आज उनको भारत एक्सपोर्ट करने की स्थिति में आ गया है.
The health minister also explained the steps taken by Indian government to contain the infection. Speaking of India's commitment to contain the pandemic, he spoke on how Prime Minister Narendra Modi has personally monitored the situation and ensured a preemptive, proactive and graded response to prevent the deadly virus from spreading. He said, India has one of the world's lowest infection and death rate.
हमने इस फोरम पर ये रिक्वेस्ट किया है कि जहां हम एक दूसरे की बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस शेयर कर रहे हैं वहां हम एक सब ग्रुप बनाए इस ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन्स के इस्तेमाल के संदर्भ में और उस सब ग्रुप के माध्यम से क्योंकि लगभग इन सभी देशों के अंदर जो ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन्स का इस्तेमाल होता है.
There is some good news about human clinical trial of the vaccine against novel coronavirus. One volunteer in his 30s was administered the first dose of injection at AIIMS in New Delhi on Friday. The first dose of injection was given to him around 1:30 p.m. He was under observation for a couple of hours. The vaccine will be tested on over 1,000 volunteers. After first dose, the second dose of the vaccine will be given to volunteers after a gap of 14 days. Meanwhile, Delhi's COVID recovery rate improved to 85.63%. So far, 1,09,065 people have recovered from the infectious disease in Delhi. However, COVID-19 cases are also rising in many other states, including Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh government has imposed complete lockdown in Bhopal from Friday night. The lockdown will continue for 10 days till August 4th. During this period, shopping malls, schools, hotels, restaurant and transport services will remain closed and all kinds of celebrations will be banned. The state government has made it clear that strict action will be taken against those who violate the rules.
सभी निजी प्रतिष्ठान बंद रहेंगे. परिवहन सेवाएं जैसे निजी बस, टैक्सी, ऑटो रिक्शा, ई रिक्शा इसका संचालन बंद रहेगा. सभी स्कूल, कॉलेज, शिक्षण संस्थान, कोचिंग क्लासेस बंद रहेंगी. सिनेमा हॉल, जिम्नेजियम, स्विमिंग पूल, ऑडिटोरियम ये सभी बंद रहेंगे।
Union government continues to support and supplement efforts of the state governments by sending central teams of experts to areas witnessing increase in caseload. As a result of these efforts, the gap between recovered patients and active COVID-19 cases is increasing further. Nitendra Singh's report, News Night Desk, DD India.
The Reserve Bank of India has released its financial stability report, warning that the gross NPA ratio of all scheduled commercial banks may increase from 8.5% in March 2020 to 12.5% by March 2021. The RBI also said that if the macroeconomic environment worsens further, the GNPA ratio may escalate to 14.7% under very severe stress scenario. The assessment done on basis of comparative scenario, if macroeconomic environment worsens, GNPA ratio may escalate to 14.7% under very severe stress. Strength of the country's banks has been tested over macroeconomic aftershocks. The test done through severely pressured scenario. Impact of shocks or pressures on banks has been assessed. In addition, gross NPA and CRAR have also been assessed. Assessment has been done under 3 comparative scenarios: moderate, severe and very severe. Comparative scenario estimated based on GDP growth, gross fiscal deficit as a ratio of GDP, and estimated values of other macroeconomic variables as well. Now, the 17th meeting of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination on India-China Border Affairs, that's the WMCC, was held on Friday. The Indian delegation was led by Joint Secretary East Asia from the Ministry of External Affairs, while the Director General of the Boundary and Oceanic Department of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs led the Chinese delegation. The two sides reviewed the situation in the India-China border areas and the ongoing disengagement process along the line of actual control in the western sector. They agreed that early and complete disengagement of troops along the line of actual control and de-escalation from India-China border areas in accordance with bilateral agreement and protocols and full restoration of peace and tranquility was essential for smooth overall development of bilateral relations. The two sides noted that this was in accordance with the agreement reached between the two special representatives during their telephonic conversation on the 5th of July this year. They also agreed in this regard that it was necessary for both sides to sincerely implement the understandings reached between senior commanders in their meetings till date. The two sides agreed that another meeting of the senior commanders may be held soon so as to work out further steps to ensure expeditiously complete disengagement and de-escalation and restoration of peace and tranquility in the border areas. Now, the government has been taking steps in recent months to further tighten security at our borders after clashes broke out between Indian and Chinese troops in eastern Ladakh. While military and diplomatic efforts remain ongoing to ensure complete de-escalation and return to previous positions for both the armies, the government has also undertaken steps to tighten the leash on malicious economic activities emanating from neighbouring countries. The latest in these steps is related to all government contracts and works. Here are the details.
The Government of India amended the General Financial Rules 2017 on Thursday to enable imposition of restrictions on bidders from countries which share a land border with India. The restrictions have been imposed on grounds of defence of India or matters directly or indirectly related to national security. The Department of Expenditure has issued a detailed order on public procurement under the changed rules to strengthen the defence of India and national security. The order says any bidder from countries sharing land border with India will have to register with competent authority. Order applies to all government contracts related to procurement of goods, services or works. Services include consultancy and non-consultancy work. Turnkey projects are also included. Competent authority for registration will be the Registration Committee constituted by the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Political and security clearance from external affairs and home ministries will be mandatory. The order applies to public sector banks and financial institutions, autonomous bodies, central public sector enterprises and public-private partnership projects receiving financial support from the government or its undertakings. In case of states, the centre has also written to chief secretaries to implement the order, invoking provisions of Article 257(1) of the Constitution related to the centre's executive powers. The competent authority will be constituted by the states, but political and security clearance will have to be taken. Coming to exemptions, relaxation has been given in some cases. Procurement of supplies for containment of COVID-19 allowed till 31st December 2020. Separate order has been issued in case of countries in which government extends lines of credit or development assistance. Exemption has been granted from requirement of prior registration for such countries. Such countries include Bangladesh, Nepal and Myanmar. The order also applies to other forms of public procurement. It does not apply to procurement by the private sector. Experts see the government's latest move to be a part of a series of steps taken over recent weeks. In April, order was issued that any entity from neighbouring countries wishing to invest in India will need prior government clearance. This was done to prevent opportunistic takeover of domestic firms during the COVID phase. On the 23rd of June, the government made it mandatory for sellers on the government e-marketplace portal to specify country of origin of goods. Changes were also made to give preference to locally made goods and local suppliers. And on the 29th of June, the IT Ministry banned 59 Chinese origin malicious apps to secure personal data of citizens. Clearly, the government is on its toes, keeping the armed forces well deployed and alert on the borders, apart from securing the country against malicious economic and cyber activities. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And that brings up our In Focus tonight, which is simply put, government secures borders and bidding. Because that's what it's all about, the latest move. And to talk about it, we have Pinak Ranjan Chakrabarti, former Secretary, MEA, and Professor Rakesh Mohan Joshi, Chairperson, International Trade Division, IIFT, the International Institute of Foreign Trade, is also joining us. Professor Joshi, to you first, if I could ask you, straight off, it is clearly a step that has been taken to ensure that malicious economic activity does not go on as far as our neighboring countries are concerned, and there's no mistaking as to which country we really are talking about over here. We're having some problem getting your audio, Professor Joshi. If I could bring in Pinak Ranjan Chakrabarti while we fix your audio issue. Pinak Ranjan Chakrabarti, what do you make of this order that the government has issued? Because it has to be seen in tandem with the kind of efforts that are being made to resolve the border issue as well with China. Even today, we've had a key meeting.
I think the government of India is rightly using a multi-track approach while talking to the Chinese at various levels, diplomatic and military. We are also taking certain actions which are economic in nature, or which are digital security in nature. And apart from the Constitution, which permits us to do it, Article 21 of the WTO also permits signatories to invoke the National Security Clause, and hence that is the clause that we are also invoking. And there is absolutely no harm in invoking these clauses, because when we are in a situation where there is a conflict brewing, where there have been bloody clashes with China, and we have seen that China has gone back on almost all the agreements, despite all the diplomatic wording of the statement that has come out. It's quite meaningless, actually. We'll have to talk, and unless the Chinese go back to the status quo ante, I don't think there can be any resolution. And hence, we will have to decide how much to engage with China. And economically, we need to disengage. I mean, after all, China is now displaying its very hostile intent along the border. and also with, say, Bhutan and other countries. So now I think it's time that we disengage to the extent possible with China on the economic front. China has been enjoying they've been enjoying a favorable trade balance with India for years now.
Yes.
And I think this is very unfair in terms of trading practices. China is a protectionist kind of market, whereas because it is state controlled, everything is state controlled. Every company has connections with the Communist Party, and hence there is no option but to ensure that these kind of companies who can undermine our national security are kept out of the Indian market. And just as these 59 apps were banned, there will be many other places where we will ban them. Where necessary, we will take their goods or whatever that we can for our own benefit. But we will not allow a free run to the Chinese companies and their digital companies.
Yes, that does seem to be the stand that we have taken, and we're going along with that. Professor Joshi, just tell us, to what extent would these measures, if you see them all together, not just the latest one as far as government contracts are concerned, but the one related to FDI, the one related to apps, and the one related to GEM, to what extent do they hurt China economically and perception-wise as well? And perception-wise, I'll also come to you on that particular question, Pinaki Ranjan Chakrabarti.
No, I think it's extremely important. What India's measure which we have taken is a comprehensive part of the India's strategy. Now, if you see into the strategic moves, that it is certainly going to put pressure into the China, because China is the largest source of import for India, accounting for 14.5% of the share. Now, if you see that what we have done is, putting a lot of pressure, including, and if you see, this says basically, the companies which are excluded, it is very clear that the companies where the India is providing some sort of financial assistance or line of credit, so we are not excluding Nepal, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Bhutan, the countries which are, so I think that this goes to basically China and then to some extent to Pakistan. So it is going to put certainly a pressure. Now, India is having a problem of trade deficit with China. India has got a $51 billion of trade deficit with China, and India's trade deficit has seen increase. You have also seen that, we had a lot of issue with Chinese products entering into this market on the price tactics that the China use. Chinese products are coming price, very at a low price. So there are two things of the price competitiveness. Number one, whether the China is so efficient to bring this, but I think China is efficient, there is no doubt about it, but there are certain translucency or lack of transparency on the part of China in pricing its product. China has been accused long, not only by India, but various other countries, of dumping its product into the international market and thereby killing the domestic products across the market. India is having a trade deficit of $51 billion with China, but America is having a trade deficit of over $300 billion with China. Yes. China now is facing problem with America as well. India with a population of 1.4 billion people, China, this market is extremely important. India is otherwise in total terms third or fourth largest market in the whole world. China will find it very difficult to lose as big market of say 1.4 billion people, because China has to make a trade-off between the strategic moves that it is doing in terms of the border, border or grabbing the land at the border, but its economy. China's basic strength in the world is of economy rather than, I think, the barren land at the 14,000 feet high in Ladakh. So I am very sure that it's going to put a pressure. Now, if you see that the procurement, because of all procurement, you cannot have that competent authority. Competent authority in India, as you know, only Indians know how to define competitive authority. Okay. Herein, it is DPIP. Then you also need wherein the power has been given to the state government. Yes. They required to take the political and security approval from the government of India, and they also need to write the country of origin on all the the EE marketing or the EE procurement channels of the government. So I am very sure as far as the government procurement is concerned, as far as the concerned with all the public sector undertakings, banks, and also it is applicable to the PPP project. So I'm very sure it is good. Only thing, the private sector has not been covered on that so far. But I'm very sure that it is going to put a pressure. But anyway, it's a very, very strategic, calculated move by India. Let's see what is the response from China. And then India also has a lot of things, which we can move in terms of the strategy to put a pressure on China.
And you talked about the private sector, so Atmanirbhar Bharat is a necessary concomitant to what is being done by the government as well, and that is also now a national mission. It has to be taken forward as a people's movement. But Pinakaranjan Chakrabarti, if you talk about how China is expected to respond, we all know that. The US has also spelled it out. India has been spelling it out for very long. The US too is now acting. It's shut down its consulate in Houston because of what it said was a spying case that has been unraveled, and there's more in store over there as well. But why is China not mending its ways? It just seems that it wants to stay on the kind of confrontationist course that it has taken, not just with US and India, but several other countries in the South China Sea and the East China Sea.
In my view, if the COVID pandemic had not happened, perhaps China wouldn't have attempted all these things. I think they realized that the whole world was sort of busy with fighting the COVID, the USA, India, and all the major countries. So they thought this was a good opportunity to sort of do the things that they are doing, open up several fronts, Hong Kong, Taiwan, South China Sea, and in Ladakh. Some people argue that it was because of Article 370 that was revoked. But we made it very clear that it had nothing to do with the LAC, and that we were not making claims on any other part of LAC or beyond the LAC, which is in China's possession. So I think China has made a strategic decision that this was a time to, I think, assert itself, because every other country in the world was busy, and they were not prepared for this kind of, so they took everybody by surprise, actually, to some extent. And so hence they thought that this is the time to actually, achieve their ambition of hegemony in Asia and elsewhere. Secondly, I think given the fact that the US-China relations were going from bad to worse, and so they were sending signals to countries like India that, don't gang up with the USA against us. But of course, the outcome may be completely opposite. But I don't know. These were Chinese, obviously, policies that may have been decided. Now, I think what is going to happen now is that China's primary target is the USA now, not India really, I think. But India is being sort of signaled and threatened in a manner that, we can deal with you, etc., and don't gang up with the USA. Now, on the economic front, what countermeasures China will take is yet to be seen. They will probably take some, but their best countermeasure is actually in Ladakh, where they are keeping the pressure up. So I don't know on the economic front what countermeasures they will take, but they might. They might, put up some barriers or something, non-tariff barriers, which they have plenty on Indian products. So I think they will just ramp it up. And after all, it's unlike India, which is different, open, transparent, democracy. China is not. And
this sort of a response has been forced upon us, hasn't it? And Professor Joshi, just tell us, apart from the measures the government has already taken, are there others as well in the government's armory to further hurt China on the economic front? And it's just not about what kind of trade and business dealings, investment and all that China has with India, but the perception that is being built through these actions being taken by India, also the US, for the rest of the world as well.
No, it's extremely important because India has signaled not only to China but the entire world, probably the first time after independence, that India is capable of taking stringent measures against a country, especially if you threaten our national security. India being a very large market, India being a growing market, India being the largest growing democratic market, and a country with a lot of population, you say, 1.4 billion people, at least, 600 million people are the actual consuming class. So, and the two things. One is the government taking measures, and the perception across the country being made as to make Atmanirbhar Bharat. Atmanirbhar Bharat is something to tell that I think it is the time for the whole country to introspect into the various issues and the bottlenecks. And I think this has put a pressure on every industry, government, and all the stakeholders, related organizations, how to make India's products very, very competitive, and how to contribute that Indian products are, bought being in the Indian market. So this is another thing. China has got very limited option to put pressure as far as the India's goods going there, because our trade deficit is $51 billion. The problem is India is exporting most of the products which are, not high value added or the manufactured product, but India is exporting to China the products which are less value added. Say it could be the the fibers or the cotton yarn which we are exporting. Then there are certain mineral items. So India, another thing which we can do is this is the procedural bottlenecks, but another thing is the quality bottlenecks also. As you are aware that we, a few years back we banned the toys coming from China on the grounds of the security and all those. You are very much aware the products which are being marketed by China in India and products marketed by China to the high-end customers in Europe and America are very, very different. Chinese products are being dumped in India. Another has got the tool in our strategy is the anti-dumping campaign could be hastened, and we can put more pressure. Quality are the other issues, the lack of safety and the lack of quality in the Chinese products which we receive could be another. So I'm very sure the government is using as a strategic, and more than this pressure, what India is doing, as you are aware, the competitiveness or ease of doing business and all sorts of these things, probably, it has given a time for introspection, and I am sure the government is working on it, and it is a great opportunity, maybe by of the strategic reasons or the border disputes has given that, the India has got an opportunity to convert this calamity into a great opportunity, never before, unprecedented.
Yes, definitely, and that is what is the message also going out from the Prime Minister himself, and it will reverberate from the ramparts of the Red Fort 2 of Atmanirbhar Bharat. But as far as the global situation is concerned, to what extent can these measures that are being taken by certain countries, UK is also now in the mix as well. They have acted against 5G technology coming in from China, but to make it even more wider through the entire global community, Pinayak Chakrabarti, what more needs to be done?
I think messages are going out to the international community, and China should be worried about it, because if all countries start to take similar action, and they are actually on, let's say, 5G, Huawei 5G. The USA has banned it. India has yet to decide. But I know where the decision is heading. But then we are probably holding it back to check whether there is any change in Chinese behavior. I think even in the other countries, people are now having serious rethinking. UK has also made some changes. So once that starts happening, and the apps, for example, that were banned, many countries are also considering. So it will cause a lot of economic discomfort. I don't know how much, but China may think that we have enough cushion in reserves and other things, and we can absorb these, a few $1 billion here and there, and we can absorb, which perhaps is true also. So it will all depend on how China sees itself and how China wants to position itself. One of the things that people have been saying is that there is also some domestic factors that are fueling this kind of behavior, and so it's yet to finish itself, yet to play out as to how China will actually proceed. We will continue along this line and start threatening everybody, attacking everybody, but then some pushback has been developed already in the South China Sea, in the Andaman, where India and the US. So there is, and America has already announced that they will be looking for a coalition of countries who will be who they would like to form and who can do some kind of a pushback against Chinese sort of aggressive hegemonic designs.
Well, certainly a Quad Plus is also something that could be worked upon to ensure that as far as the strategic response to China is concerned, especially in the Indian Ocean region, that is also strengthened. We'll have to leave it there, completely out of time. Pinak Ranjan Chakravarti and Professor Joshi, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Well, let's get you more positive news coming in as far as the country is concerned, and Make in India is also concerned, where US technology giant Apple has started manufacturing iPhone 11 at Foxconn's facility in Tamil Nadu. This is the 5th model of the iPhone which Apple has started manufacturing in the country. Apple's latest iPhone is now getting manufactured in India. Foxconn has been assembling iPhone 11 at the Sri Perumbudur facility for a few months, and the devices are now available in the market, in fact, since last month. Foxconn also makes the 10R for Apple. Winstron makes the iPhone 7. The iPhone 11 is available in India at starting price of around 68,000 a unit. And Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has said that Apple has started making its high-end and high-selling model iPhone 11 in India, which is a significant boost for the Make in India initiative. In a tweet, the minister said that, and I quote him, significant boost to Make in India. Apple has started manufacturing iPhone 11 in India, bringing a top-of-the-line model for the first time in the country. And it's time now to get you some more nationwide updates in our national wrap.
The HRD ministry has set up a committee to form guidelines and suggest measures to ensure that more students study in India and there is a smooth transition for students returning from abroad due to COVID-19 situation. The committee headed by UGC chairman is also supposed to recommend a mechanism to increase the intake in well-performing universities. The committee will present its report within 15 days. Air India has brought back more than 2.5 lakh Indians from 53 countries under the Vande Bharat mission. In a tweet, Air India said Phase 5 of Vande Bharat mission will be launched from 1st August. It said Air India has added many more flights to several international destinations, for which details will be announced shortly. In Kerala gold smuggling case, 3 accused including Sarith, Swapna Suresh and Sandeep Nair have been sent to judicial custody till 21st August by the NIA court in Kochi. The court will consider the bail petitions of Swapna Suresh and Sandeep Nair on 5th August. The Supreme Court has extended the term of the inquiry commission by 6 months to conclude investigation in the Hyderabad encounter case. The commission, headed by former Supreme Court Judge Justice V.S. Sirpurkar, had sought more time to complete its investigation, citing the circumstances arised due to COVID-19 pandemic. The commission was supposed to submit its report by August this year. The Supreme Court has adjourned the hearing the 2009 contempt case against lawyer Prashant Bhushan to 4th August after their counsel sought more time to prepare. In 2009, Prashant Bhushan had made an alleged remark on the Supreme Court judiciary in an interview to Tehelka magazine. The Ghaziabad police suspended the SHO of Vijayanagar police station, under whose limits journalist Vikram Joshi was shot and subsequently died at a hospital. The action was taken in view of the lack of action and negligence in connection with the murder case. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has suspended 11 police personnel, including IPS officer Aparna Gupta, for laxity in the probe into the kidnapping and murder case of Kanpur lab technician Sanjeet Yadav. While the government had taken action against 4 police personnel earlier, 7 more police officers were suspended. Senior IAS officer and OSD in the Health Ministry Rajesh Bhushan has been appointed as the new Secretary of the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. According to an order, Bhushan will succeed Preeti Sudan, who was given a 3-month extension in April as she was leading the COVID-19 response in the country. He will take charge after Sudan demits office on 31st July.
Now, the government has strongly rejected the viral message being circulated on social media platforms claiming that an Indian Air Force jet has been shot down, and it said that it is fake. In a tweet, the Press Information Bureau has termed it as false news and has claimed that no such action has been conducted by the Indian Air Force on any neighbouring country. The PIB has also urged people to remain beware of panic mongers and clarified that the images used in the fake message are from a previous date. Let's also quickly tell you what is happening across the world as well. Well, Friday prayers were held at Istanbul's Hagia Sophia for the first time since President Recep Tayyip Erdogan declared the building once again a mosque after a top Turkish court ruled in favour of annulling its museum status. Erdogan joined thousands of worshippers at Hagia Sophia on Friday wearing white face masks as a precaution against COVID-19 and knelt on blue carpets at the start of a ceremony which marks the return of Muslim worship at the ancient structure. Several hundred invitees attended the ceremony inside the 6th century building along with Erdogan and his top ministers. A statue of Italian explorer Christopher Columbus was removed from a Chicago park after an executive order by the city's mayor. Lori Lightfoot, a Democrat, ordered the statue to be brought down and removed from Grant Park in a bid to prevent a repeat of last week's clashes between police and protesters. Several statues of Columbus have been removed across the United States in recent weeks, along with Confederate Civil War monuments. The U.S. in recent months has seen a wave of protests against racism and the use of violence by police against black Americans, sparked by the death of George Floyd. And China has ordered the United States to close its consulate in the city of Chengdu on Friday, responding to a U.S. demand this week that China closes its Houston consulate as relations between the world's two largest economies deteriorate. The order to close the consulate in Chengdu was seen as roughly reciprocal in terms of scale and impact, continuing China's recent practice of like-for-like responses to U.S. actions. China had warned it would retaliate after it was unexpectedly given 72 hours until Friday to vacate its Houston consulate, and it urged the U.S. to reconsider. Some 85 refugee children with serious health issues and their families left for Germany on Friday as part of an initiative to relocate unaccompanied minors from Greece to European Union states. The young asylum seekers came from overcrowded camps on Lesbos, in Chios as well as Samos Islands. Greece hopes to send some 1,600 unaccompanied minors in the coming months to EU countries. Swiss Attorney General Michael Lauber offered to resign after a Swiss court concluded he lied to investigators while his office examined alleged corruption surrounding soccer governing body FIFA. A federal court said Lauber had committed several breaches of his official duties and lied to investigators while his office examined alleged corruption in soccer. The court said that Lauber made implausible statements about an undisclosed meeting with FIFA President Gianni Infantino in June 2017. And that's all we have at the moment in Newsnight tonight, but all the latest continue right here on DD News and DD India. Stay tuned and stay safe.
नमस्कार।